Morning, everybody. Eric Chaconis here with the PT on Ice Daily Show. I am one of the members of our extremity management team. I created that course about 10 years ago, and it's all things manual therapy, exercise prescription, and progressions for musculoskeletal conditions. It's a lot of fun. We are all over the place over the weekend. You're moving around the entire time, lots of lab, lots of techniques. And currently, our two lead faculty for that course, teaching that course all over the country, are Lindsay Huey and Mark Gallant. And we have a few open dates left for the rest of this summer. Mark will be in North Baltimore and Glencoe, Maryland, the weekend of July 16th. Lindsay will be in Tempe, Arizona, August 5th and 6th. And then she will also be at Delta Physical Therapy, our friends in Baton Rouge. I think we go there probably once a year for extremity management for the last couple of years. Pretty cool. She'll be over at Delta Physical Therapy in Baton Rouge, August 20th and 21st. So if you're looking to catch extremity management this summer, those are the dates and locations. We have a bunch more coming out in the fall as well. So check out the website, ptonice.com. And you can just search extremity management if you're looking for kind of all the current best evidence for hip, knee, foot, ankle, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand in a very heavy lab-based format. That's a lot of fun. And so today's topic, what I want to get into for Clinical Tuesday is something that I think is probably threaded through almost all of our courses at ICE and a very important element of patient care, something that we very much respect and understand has such a tremendous influence on outcomes, and that is patient expectations. And so if you've been following the patient expectations research over the years, you'll notice we have quite a bit of quantitative data. We kind of know now that when people have a positive expectation, when they have certain specific expectations, that does tend to correlate with a better outcome. When people have a negative expectation, that tends to correlate with a poor outcome. But really, you got to kind of uncover this a little more and dive deeper into it to really analyze the nuances. And that's what this study that was just published does. It's a qualitative study. So the title is, "What do patients referred to physical therapy for a musculoskeletal condition expect? A qualitative assessment." And so this one was published from our group at Bellin College in our Doctor of Science program. The three lead authors, who were all students in our DSC program since graduated, were Josh Subialka, Kristen Smith, and Joe Signorino, and then our usual faculty members, Jody Young, Dan Rohn. And because this is a qualitative study, we needed a qualitative methodology expert on that committee. And so Casey Rentmeester is our in-house qualitative expert. So most of the research that we describe at ICE, most of the research in the physical therapy profession in general, and the strength and conditioning research in general, is quantitative in nature. So we're looking at statistics, we're looking at specific quantitative numbers as we analyze over 90% of the research. Qualitative is more looking at like the lived experience and the perspective of the human being. And so that's very valuable when you're looking at a topic like patient expectations. This is really an important next step because we don't have hardly any qualitative research in this area for our profession. So I think this study takes a big leap. I think back to maybe like 15 years ago, the first study on patient expectations. It was Joel Bialowski and Mark Bishop and that whole group out of University of Florida, and they looking at outcomes correlating with expectations. And it just like opened this whole new world to me of like, if you can influence expectations and you can change the way somebody thinks when they walk into the clinic and what they believe is going to help them or what they believe the outcome is going to be, if you can influence that, you can influence the outcome. What you physically do to them might not matter quite as much as factors like that, right? The expectation that they have. And we know that from work. Rachel Chester out of Ireland, she published a study maybe 2017 looking at shoulder pain and the strongest correlator with outcome. They looked at a regression model, all the different variables that you might measure when you evaluate somebody with shoulder pain. The number one variable that correlated with a positive outcome was the person's expectation to fully recover after they saw the physiotherapist. So, this is probably one of the most important factors when you look at clinical outcomes and clinical care. So qualitatively, specifically, we don't have a lot. Louis Gifford has done some work in this and looked at like, what are the questions that people want answered when they come to see a clinician? And so they kind of came up with these 4 key primary questions. One is, what is wrong with me, right? How long will it take for me to feel better? What can I do as the patient to help my condition? And what can you do as the clinician to help me feel better? What can you do for my condition? And so that's partly what they wanted to explore, was to look at those questions and see, did patients actually want to know that information? And if not, what other questions, what other topics, what other themes would emerge as they discussed people before they're going to see the PT? So the methodology here is you interview people prior to their visit, their initial evaluation visit. So you get them on the phone, you talk to them, and you're interviewing them. Usually it's a video chat. And then you're taking all the information that they're saying during that interview, and you're basically putting in a big software program and looking for themes and commonalities, right, between what everybody is saying. And so it's kind of interesting what they came up with. So the themes that were most prevalent when they interview these people were outcomes. People are concerned or interested in outcomes, what the outcome is going to be, education, exercise, the evaluation, and the cause of pain. So those are the primary themes. When it came to outcomes, what most people talked about was that they want pain alleviation. They want to know that their pain is going to be alleviated because they have a fear of ongoing pain. That makes sense, right? Most people come to us at this point, they've had enough. They realize, I can't self-manage this. This is not just going to go away on its own. I need to go see a PT. I need to go to rehab. And hopefully that will prevent the likelihood of ongoing pain. Hopefully it'll help me recover. Education was the other theme. 96% of people mentioned a desire to learn from the PT. I've not seen this yet in the literature. I think this is pretty interesting. I mean, it's obviously it's something that you really want to see, but people want to learn what physical therapy can do for them, what the physical therapist can do for them. They want to learn what is wrong with them. They want to get to the cause of their condition. They want to learn how to perform the exercises, and they want to learn how to self-manage the condition. So that's huge, because I think now you're looking at the physical therapist as a consultant. And I think this is something that I probably struggled with early in my career. So I remember being kind of a new graduate and having this mindset that as a healthcare provider, it was up to me to go and get people better, right? It was up to me to sort of cure you of your knee pain. And that's a recipe for burnout. I don't think that that's a good way to look at it. I think that you want to look at yourself as a consultant, the exact same way that a lawyer lawyers looked at as a consultant, an accountant is a consultant, right? They're going to advise you on whatever the legal matter is or whatever the accounting, bookkeeping matter is. They're going to advise you, but it's up to you as the client to take action, to do what it needs to take to, pay the money or do whatever it is that needs to be done to get the outcome that you want. So it's up to the patient to get the outcome that they want. It's up to the clinician to be the advisor and the consultant that's going to educate them and help them along their journey, help them make the best decision. So I think that that's a positive thing. It's just a small little nuanced difference, but I do think it kind of changes the mindset. And also we're getting away from passive care, right? You're not going to lay down the table and I'm just going to cure you, right? I mean, there's a role for that. You lay down the table. Yes, there could be palliative modalities or palliative interventions that help reduce your pain, certainly to give us a window of opportunity to load you and to exercise you so that you can start recovering. But at the end of the day, I'm the consultant and you're coming to me for advice and education. The other theme was exercise. And I thought that was an interesting one because the authors, the researchers didn't mention exercise at all in any of the questions. So that word was not in any of the questioning that was delivered to the research participants. They came forward with that information. So that tells me we're doing a better job. I think the public knows when they go to see a physical therapist, one of the key interventions is going to be exercise. So that's another positive one. It was mentioned 123 times throughout the interviews. They mentioned a desire to learn about exercise, to learn proper techniques, lots of details about exercise. And so that's wonderful to hear that the public's perception of the physical therapist is that when they come, they're going to learn about exercise. The evaluation was mentioned a lot. That was a common theme. Almost everyone mentioned the evaluation. They want an evaluation. They realize that this condition may have been already diagnosed by another provider. They may even already have kind of self-diagnosed themselves based on what they think is going on. But they want an evaluation because they know that you as the clinician can figure out what the cause of that condition is. And they know that and sometimes that's not true, right? Sometimes we do an evaluation and we really don't know what's the cause. And sometimes some of these conditions are idiopathic in nature. We just don't know what causes them. But that thorough evaluation is something that the patient expects and wants. And I think the better, and this is another theme throughout all of our courses at ICE, is that it all starts with a thorough evaluation. And with a thorough evaluation, not only are you helping yourself gain information that's going to help you make better clinical decisions, but you're lending to those positive patient expectations because they see how thorough you are. They see what you're doing to try to get to the source or the cause of their condition, which is really what people want. Manual therapy was mentioned. I think you gotta, look at this. Like, so all authors are fellows of AAMP. So, perhaps a slight bias there, but manipulation and massage was mentioned by the participants. They believe that some form of hands-on care would be helpful. Most people come in with some desire for some level of hands-on care. Not everybody, but most people. And so that's an important thing to ask about, right? Are you expecting manual therapy? Is that something you believe will be helpful? And we know from prior research, when you match the intervention with the patient's expectation, it does tend to help. It does tend to help outcomes. All right. So what about Gifford's 4 key questions that everybody wants to know is what we thought previously, right? What is wrong with me? Certainly a theme, because when you look at cause of pain and the desire for an evaluation, people do want to know what is going on and they want that thorough evaluation. So it shows you that they want to know that answer to what is wrong with me. I think that can be a tough one, though, because sometimes we aren't going to be able to come up with an accurate or truthful answer. So we may have some elaborate biomechanical explanation for what we think is going on, when in reality that might not be the case. We know in a lot of cases, pathomechanics or abnormal biomechanics aren't really, it's not accurate, right, to say that. And I think you also want to be careful because you don't want to create thought viruses. You don't want to give people explanations for what you think is the cause of their pain when that explanation could actually create more of a nocebo. That could actually get them thinking more in a negative light and towards a negative outcome because they're thinking of all the things that are wrong with them. So in some cases, I mean, the good clinician is going to navigate that. And based on the person sitting in front of them, they're either going to come up with some type of explanation that makes sense that person's going to be able to take, or they're going to kind of, I don't want to say skate around it. What I tend to do is I tend to mitigate or minimize or diminish some type of biomechanical nocebo thought, like, oh, your shoulder isn't moving this way because you have whatever stiffness in this region, and that just creates dependency. I don't need to explain it that way. I can explain it as this is a very common condition. A lot of people have pain in their shoulder, throughout life, and here are some things we can do about it, right? That's a little more of a positive spin that's going to not create as much of a thought virus. How long will it take me to feel better? I actually didn't tease out at the top. That was not a strong theme. I thought that was interesting. So, and maybe that makes sense because like a lot of people, they realize you don't really know the answer to that question. How long is it going to take me to get better? I mean, maybe ballpark, I guess you could give them a range, but for a lot of people, that's probably not a question you're going to be able to answer. And so maybe people realize that and it's not the top of their list. What can I do to help my condition as a patient was a strong theme throughout. Lots and lots of people want to know what they can do to improve the recovery of their condition, and that teased out in this study. What can the PT do to help me? Almost everyone acknowledged the physical therapist's role in providing education. It was one of the strongest themes. So the physical therapist is the educator. The physical therapist will help you learn more about your condition, help you learn the techniques and strategies that you can use to recover from your condition. I think that is great news for us, that we can kind of have that mindset and that role. That's the strongest theme. And that's why I titled it, People Want to Learn from the PT. People want to learn from the PT. Consider yourself the teacher, the advisor, the educator, and go out there and have an awesome day, everybody. Happy day after 4th of July. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday. We'll see you next time. Take care.